I think the most recent example of Greta Thunberg coming to the UK and other countries promoting climate change as an issue has had a dramatic impact. And it's really had a dramatic impact, I suppose, for two different reasons. On the one hand, to other young people, it is, of course, enormously engaging and inspiring to see somebody of your own generation being taken seriously by the world's elite. Whilst she may not have an enormous voting impact in the House of Commons, I think being photographed and being seen to be talking next to people like Caroline Lucas is enormously powerful. Caroline Lucas is widely thought of as one of the most inspiring and serious politicians in the Palace of Westminster right now, which massively outweighs the size of her party's vote. But I also think that it's also had an enormous impact in reaching across generations. There is a sense that older people feel a sense of shame about climate change, and they feel also a sense of pride that a young person is taking the slack on this, where their cohorts from their generation that are in power are not seen to be doing enough. And there is something quite inspiring to an older generation that the children are telling us what we need to hear. And I think that is something that resonates across the pond. In America, you see this in the Me Too movement, you see this in issues around gun control. But I think this is something about coming of age. I think it's also about a lesson to the baby boomer generation that promised so much, but as a generation coming through and saying, okay, so where's the delivery?
I would agree with all of that. I would add then, on the other hand, there are those that dismiss young people's activism. Here we've seen with climate strikes, people saying, oh, these kids just want to cut school. And I think that has to do not actually with the fact that people really believe that young people's voice doesn't matter or that they're not informed, but I think it is a reaction to being challenged on what they stand for and their way of life. Generations that are being told what you did, the way you've lived your whole life so far has got us where we are. You're flying, you're eating meat, you're etc., your kind of job, all of these things are costing our future. And I think that's a really hard thing to accept. And some people are taking it on. Parents, for instance, also people who don't have children are being confronted with that truth and saying, wow, this is really inspiring. And others are still resisting. I think we're at the turning point now where this change is happening.
I think the engagement of young people is absolutely brilliant because it also reminds us and them that they have real political agency. They may not be of the age that they can vote, but they have a really strong political agency. And what's really impressive is that the real front runners in these campaigns are young people that take the emotion, the raw emotion, and then they combine that with on the ground, really good campaigning, data, facts, rationality to go with the emotion. And you couldn't teach that in a classroom. It's incredible what they're doing. So I think these young role models are absolutely fantastic.
I would fully agree with that. I think that's absolutely true. One of the most interesting things about those campaigns for gun control, the Me Too, the environmental movement, you look at those campaigns and you say, actually, this is a rejection of utilitarianism. This is a rejection of the deregulated environment where economics is an end in itself, and a call to arms to say economics is important, but is a means to provide a better way of life. It's not an end in itself, and it's a call for more virtue and less utility. It's a call for more nurture and less nature. And actually, it's a statement saying, hey, the generation of 1968, the generation of civil rights, what's gone on? And we can do better than this. And what they're doing is using digital networks to build that global platform and communicate beyond the boundaries that seem to have been set in place.